What's up guys, my name is Josh and let's talk about the DT 1990 Pros. This is actually my second go around with this review. The first version, no shit, took like 45 minutes. So I'm gonna try and shorten it up a little bit. Now, like always, if you want to skip to any particular part in the video, you can go ahead and jump here. So real quick before we get started, I have two comparisons coming out with this headphone, one against the HD 660 and the other against the Beyerdynamic Omron Home, which both run approximately that same $500 to $600 range as these do. And there are some things that I don't cover in this review that I cover in those. So hit that subscribe button if you're not already to stick around for a little bit more information on this guy. The build on this is absolutely phenomenal. Not only is it a beautiful, beautiful headphone that I really honestly wasn't sold on in pictures and in videos until I got it in person. And it's immaculately well built. I mean, you have this laser etched metal cups, this ever so slightly chromed lettering that just has like the right amount of chrome to where it's not oversaturated, it's not overdone, but it just looks incredible. These amazing velour pads. It actually comes with two pairs of pads and a carrying case. It has the perfect amount of clamp force and the pads are just so comfortable that in my testing, I was able to wear these for hours and listen to them without any problems regarding comfort. It also comes with a mini XLR on one side being the left side. Again, I wish, it's just a pet peeve of mine. I just wish people would switch to dual-sided connectors. I like it so much better. Regarding the power you're gonna need for this guy, it is kind of efficient even though it's 250 ohms because the sensitivity level is 102 decibels, which means that you can technically power this off of a phone, but you're pretty much gonna wanna use an amplifier. And to get the full potential of this guy, I am going to list the amplifier as necessary. Absolutely crystal clear. Just incredibly clear. Detail everywhere in the range. Extremely well balanced. There's a reason why so many other audio reviewers love these headphones. You know, DMSZ, Metal, and a few others that just really regard these headphones to be a really good standard, and I think that's exactly where these lay. Treble is incredibly detailed. I will say that it's occasionally a little bit bright, like with the right singer or the right instrument at the right frequency. It's a little bit up there. It's never sibilant. It never gets to that level by any means. It's just one of those things where it could be fatiguing over time if you're listening to a bright track. The occasional peak here and there is totally acceptable. Now, the overall feeling I get with this entire headphone, especially the treble, and this is part of the use case of this because this is supposed to be used by professionals, is it jam-packs detail into your brain. You want detail from all the way over there, you want detail from right here, you want detail from this instrument and that vocalist and that instrument. It's gonna give you detail everywhere, especially in the highs. It's one of those headphones that just has no chill, like you can't get away from it. It's just right in your face. The mid-range is slightly recessed in the upper mid-range, but again, the detail, how etched out the sound is just immaculate. And it just has these aggregate of features in terms of tonality, in terms of detail, and how that detail is delivered, and the bass response, and how that bleeds into the mid-range, and how the mid-range bleeds into the highs, and that it just works so well as an overall package. And this is one of the best stock sound signature implementations that I've seen with any headphone. Now, not only does the treble, the mid-range, and the bass blend extremely well, but it's also somewhat separated in its own way. It blends well, but it's also, there's presence to everything and it doesn't feel like anything is kind of bleeding or lacking anywhere in the range. And the mid-range has this presence, and I've noticed that a lot of mid-range present headphones, they use this kind of shouty effect to the mid-range. Where they're kind of overemphasizing the mid-range, and this doesn't have that. It's very fluid with the rest of the headphone, and nothing really stands out as being particularly aggressive. But except for those couple frequencies and highs, nothing kind of stands out as being too aggressive or overly aggressive or overshadowing any other part of the headphone. Now, the 1770s, I think, were probably the best bass I've ever heard on a headphone. And they use the same exact driver, just with slightly altered pads and different grills for the 1990. And the bass for an open back headphone is extremely balanced, very, very detailed. You're going to get really solid quality out of the bass of this. Now, it doesn't quite get down to those sub bass frequencies that the 1770 did, No. Pretty much what I heard is that it started to kind of roll off on punchiness and impact around 50 hertz, but if you were playing 25 or 30 hertz, you could still definitely hear it. It just didn't have that same thickness and impact of the 1770s. That being said, the bass is very alive on this headphone, especially as that kind of upper bass frequencies bleed into that lower mid-range. It's very, very punchy in that range without overshadowing the rest of the headphone. It's very, very balanced with everything. And honestly, the balance and the implementation and how everything works together is the biggest selling point of this. Not only are the individual features, the individual tonalities and sounds and reproductions of those frequencies really, really good, but the implementation of how the highs, the lows, and the mids all work together is really the biggest selling point of this headphone. Now, real quick before we go into imaging and soundstage and then the conclusion, the pads. So there's analytical pads and balance pads. With analytical, you're gonna get a little bit brighter sound signature, but more detail overall. Now, like I said, it's not getting into that sibilant range, but it is getting into that just a little bit kind of up there range. Now, if you want to reduce that a little bit, get a little bit better bass, but sacrifice a tiny, maybe like 0.5% in detail, then go with the balance pads. They give you better bass, better impact. From what I could hear, just a little bit better soundstage, but switching the pads back and forth is kind of a slower process on this headphone, so that could have just been my mind making shit up. And then I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but Dakoni did send me some pads to actually try out with these, and they're the Dakoni hybrids. Now, they changed the makeup of this headphone completely, which I think is a good thing. I think that if you bought the pads, they're $80. I know that's expensive, and you're looking at a $700-ish investment, including those pads and taxes. But if you're somebody like me, where one day you want this insane detail, this insane clarity, but another day you want just this extreme sub bass, and you're getting this rich, warm sound, and you're never offended by the highs, and it's just relaxing, but still maintains just incredible detail, then having those pads might be a good option for you, because they really do make this sound like a completely different headphone, but still a very detailed headphone. I'm a person who values detail over almost anything else. And if I can get a headphone that sounds very, let's call it cold and clean, versus a headphone that sounds warm and dark and thick, but maintain the same quality of detail throughout, then that's an ideal headphone for me. And if that fits your needs, then this might be an ideal headphone for you. But if you like the clear, really starkly etched out sound signature that can be offered by these with the stock pads, then this is still a good headphone for you. Okay, imaging and soundstage. I'll get more into imaging in the HD 600 comparison, but the imaging is very, very good. It's on par with the 600, although the soundstage is a little bit wider than the 600, and it has a little bit more room to work with. Soundstage, it's not super wide, although most of the sound that you're gonna get out of this, especially for vocals, is gonna be more internal. It's not very good at doing in front of you or in back of you, but the soundstage is accurate. It's not overemphasized by any means, and the imaging is very, very pinpoint. This is absolute perfection from Beyerdynamic. And I'm being completely honest in my opinion of that. This is a 10 out of 10 product. It is absolutely worth the money. The dexterity of this headphone, the clarity of this headphone, the build, the beauty, the versatility and sound and tonality is just exceptional. And instrumental separation and foreground and background separation is amazing. It's very, very good. I cannot speak highly enough about pretty much everything about this headphone, except for the one little bit about the highs. And again, if you're just somebody who just loves the detail and kind of that, I hate to call it force feeding because that sounds bad, but it really just is like, it's throwing detail at light speed into your ear. And, and it's incredible. Now, real quick before I go, guys, if you're wondering if you should get the DT 1990 or the closed back DT 1770s, my advice is that you will not be disappointed by either. I'd say definitely get the 1990s unless you have a specific need for a closed headphone or you really, really, really like sub bass. But I think the 1990s pull ahead, so I'll leave a link to both the 1990s and the 1770s if you want to check those out. Links down below. All right, guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. I tried to make this as quick as I possibly could because there was a lot to cover and I really, really like these headphones a lot and I wanted that to come across and I hope it did. Let me know what you guys think about these headphones. You'll find links to these down below and Dakoni's pads. Check those guys out. They're very, very generous. They're very nice. And if you like what I do on this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It definitely helps out the channel and I'm trying to increase the production quality always. I just signed up for Epidemic Sound, so I'm getting some better music to put on the channel and I'm hoping that you guys notice. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Josh, and I will catch you guys in the next video.